34, 35.
Oh yeah, let's get in there.
I did the math on this, and I do believe it.
Did you use a calculator, Zach?
Yes, I ran out of fingers and toes.
You guys want to hear something embarrassing? I didn't do the math, and I didn't realize what the numbers were until the very last line of the song.
No, that's perfect. That's the experience that I want you to have. I love that. Please.
Well, why is this record important to the overall story you're telling in this album?
Oh, because I just think it's ridiculous and so funny and stupid. It's like absolutely absurd. It was just a fun thing. Again, we heard the strings that sounded so like Disney and orchestral and full and pure. And I was just like, yo, what is the dirtiest possible, most opposing lyric that we could write to this? And I was sitting with Scott Nicholson the night that I started writing it. I was sitting with Scotty. And we basically, Scotty wrote the give me them babies line, which is my favorite thing in the world, is that Scott Nicholson is a writer on 34, 35. It made me so happy. He was like, I was like, what comes after, I think I'm crazy, way I've been crazy, if I put it quite plain. And Scott was like, just give me them babies. And I was like, and he was like, I'm joking. And I was like, no, it's to print. We're doing it. It's done. It's perfect. Yeah, but it came up as a total joke, and then I like fell in love with it, and then Tayla and Victoria came and we wrote the bridge together, and it was so much fun. And it was we finished it. We started it last year, and then we finished it like months and months and months later when I was like, oh, this needs to be on the album and it has to happen. And it was the night after that big earthquake, scared the shit out of me, and I was like 4.5 and I made the magic. And it was after the 4.5 one, so that's why that lyric is there. Friends were like, wouldn't it be more than a 4.5? I feel like he's way stronger than 4.5. And I was like, yes, but the earthquake last night. Anyway, sorry, I'm telling you the whole story of how like everything came to be.
That's what do you think we're here for? I don't want to say the earthquake is the reason why, but it is the reason why we have that line. But what like, do you have the rest of the album and then go, there's a hole to fill and we happen to have that one song that we did a year ago?
Yeah.
That could be perfect?
So the way I kind of like to move when I'm making stuff is I like to jump around. I don't like to finish things right when I start them. Like if I have a verse and a hook, I'll be happy and then I'll be like, okay, let's start something new, or okay, let's do the second verse and then come back and blah, 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 blah. So I like to just kind of, when the ideas are there, go. And then when I feel like I'm working, when I feel like I just like to bounce around until something else comes up and that I hear something else that I like, and we'll start other ideas. And then at the end, we go back and we finish them.
Interesting. Like, how do you know that it was time to hit pause on 34, 35? Like, at what point did that song like end and then you picked it up?
Oh yeah, when my mom got there.
Oh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She was like, hi, Ariana. And I was like, Billy, pause.
Can you talk about putting that verse together, like the riding verse, the earthquake verse? Like, how fun was that building out those lyrics?
It was so much fun. Also, the thing about getting like me, Vic, and Tayla in a room together is, it's just so fun, but also it's magical. Like when three besties sit down who like know a lot about each other's lives and
intimately know each other.
Oh yeah, very intimately. I don't really work with people that I don't have a real friendship or relationship with, or that I don't feel immediately like connected and obsessed with. I've been working with Victoria and Tayla since the first album. Like it's not even, and it's so much more than that. Like these are two women that mean so much to me. So it's so much fun. And my friend was there. My friend tagged along and was like, it took us like 30 minutes to write the bridge, and Chase was like, you guys are, first of all, ruthless. Second of all, that was the most fun. Like he was like, I can't believe that happened so quickly. And yeah, but it was really fun. But yeah.
Do you channel a different side of yourself for records like this, or is it all just one? Obviously, it's the different positions.
Yeah, I think the thing about this song that has been my fear since the beginning is that it would distract from the like vulnerability and the sweetness that is the rest of the album. It's very loving, it's very honest, it's very much a reflection of parts of my life, but also, you know, it's just a fun song, and it deserves a home on the album for sure, and that deserves to be written about for sure. But yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of like, I think that everything I do kind of has a little bit of humor in it for sure, and I think that people know that I'm not really like
Making somebody strap in.
sitting here till dawn, you know, like I'm not really, you know, unless they really think that, in which case I hope that they work on that. You know, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I don't know. I don't know. I've been very nervous about this one because I don't want it to distract from the rest of it. But I do love it. And sonically, it's like one of my favorite things we've ever done.
Let's go from a song that has humor to a song that, in my opinion, has no humor, but if I can't listen to it and not cry. Off the Table.
Oh God, what a jump.
Yeah, totally different.
I'm
But
here.
I've heard the song so many times now, and I cannot get through it without, I don't know, it's just such a beautiful song.
Thank you. Dan,
That
have you heard it?
What?
Have you heard it?
Of course.
Okay, good. All right. Just want to make sure.
was there an actual moment in your life where you genuinely thought that like love might not be possible again?
Yeah, I think that you fear that when you experience certain things and you go through like really traumatic. I think that your mind, you know, this wasn't written from a 100%. This is really how I feel, but that fear is something that exists, of course, in your head when you let the trauma part of your brain take the command seat. That of course exists, and your brain is constantly telling you, no, you don't deserve this, or no, this won't happen, or no, yes, this person is too good to be true, or yeah, you will you know, be kind of just frozen in this period of recovery for the rest of your life. There are moments where that traumatic, the PTSD part of your brain takes the command seat and tells you those things. So I think this was written from that place and not from a real, I'm in my right mind and I know that I deserve love place. It was just from a fear place, but it deserves to be expressed, and I think it deserves to come out. And I think that once you write something, it kind of goes away a little bit as well. I think that expressing it made it feel so much less legitimate.
Yeah, I understand. It's like an insecurity that you have. That's not, you're kind of saying it's not it's a fear, but by getting it out into the world and writing it, the fear loses its value, and you realize how ridiculous the fear is, and then you're able to open yourself up to love, or at least look for it.
Yeah, it's like when you share it with someone and they have a reaction that is like comforting and supportive, and oh, this is a beautiful song. You're like, it's a beautiful song. You're like, oh, okay.
The song does start with fear and you questioning it, but by the end, and April comes in, the song kind of ends with this human being reassuring you that no matter what your baggage is, they're there to carry it with you.
Yeah. He played the role of the perfect, you know what I mean? Kind of like dream reaction to a fear like that being expressed.
Reality, right?
Yeah, I kind of gave him a little sum up of my, you know, we caught up for a while and talked about life and everything. And he kind of, I think, wrote his verse from a perspective of like a person that would be filling, you know, certain shoes, and what I've heard that has felt nice, you know, it's nice. I think he did a great, phenomenal job writing that.
Is it hard to put that into a song? Like, how'd you know you were ready?
I didn't know anyone was ever going to hear it. So I just kind of was sitting in my room. It was during quarantine and towards the very beginning. And I just had set up my little home situation, and a friend of Matt Bennett's, Shintaro, had sent me a little folder of beats, and he's amazing, by the way. He worked at the Apple Store at the Genius Bar, I think, or I think he was giving lessons on how to work, like make beats and stuff.
Cool.
Like I think he was the guy that like you'd go into the Apple store and be like, oh, I want to make something that sounds like Robin Thicke, and then he'd like show you how to make something that sounds like that. And but yeah, he's a really brilliant producer, and he sent me a pack of beats, and I pulled it up and I wrote a verse and a chorus, and I sent it over to Abel, and I said, is this okay? And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna write the second verse. And I was like, okay. And so that was just how it felt, and it was just a very intimate moment and writing process between two friends.
Does a song like that only happen after being alone with yourself for quite some time? Because it is it's very reflective. No, like if you weren't going through it in that moment, you're thinking back. Or
I think there's always a feeling at the beginning of creating something where you're like, is this for me or is this for people? And this was one that I think was kind of on the line. I didn't know, but then it felt really beautiful, and my mom's reaction to it was really beautiful. That made me very emotional, and I felt like it was the perfect kind of centerpiece in a way to the album, because it does again make every other song on the album make so much more sense. It's like, okay, we start here and we start with a crush, and you start with the fun sex and the, ooh, what's your motive? What's your, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then it gets to this real point where you're like, oh, wow, I could be falling in love with someone. Is that even an option for me?
You? Yeah.
Yeah. And then you go into, I think 6:30 is next, and you're like, well, are you down? What if I lose my, what if I'm old and crazy? And then you go into Safety Net, and you're like, oh, here we go. I'm really here falling for real. This is happening again. I didn't think it could, and it is. And then and then it's like, I think it's a pivotal point on it. I think I don't know.
No, it is a huge moment in the overall story that you're telling. Do you know what that story is, and do you realize that story only after the album's done?
Oh no, I mean, of course it's nice to see it come together and make sense for strangers or for other people listening, or for people who aren't living through these experiences. But to me, it's clear because I'm making songs that are coming from a real place. And, I'll be like, it's like, that's the process. I wouldn't, it's like, I could sit here and you could give me a word and I can try to make a song about a word, but it's not going to be as good as if I sit here and I make a song about some real thought that I had,
Wow. The strings on this record, it hit me, and I think Off the Table and Myron are actually connected in some weird way. Did you hear the song?
Myron was sitting underneath my feet when I wrote that. So yeah, he doesn't leave me alone much, but I think he loves that song. I think he also loves chewing my headphones and sitting right next to me as I'm working. And yeah, he's a little angel. He doesn't leave me alone much. I'll go to brush my teeth first thing in the morning, and he'll come with me and sit under the sink and look up at me. It's very sweet.
Oh, and
a little angel.
I love the dogs at the end of the music video, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
But not all of them, not even half of.
I know. I wanted it to be realistic, but not me slipping in the snow. You know what I mean? Because there was fake snow on set, and I was like, I'm going to die if Lafayette is added to this, and Cinnamon is here, and there's all these dogs. So we did a little group. Yeah. Lafayette has to be in the next one. She has to be in some video at some point.
Do you have 8?
I lost count a long time ago.
Okay. Got it.
Is Off the Table, would you say that's one of the most personal songs you've ever written?
It's hard to top Thank You Next because it's so much more straightforward. But I think it's different because I'm kind of the only one in there. It's just me and Abel who wrote it, so maybe. But I don't think so. I don't know. They all have so much of me in them that I don't know. I don't really like to be like, is this the one that means this? And I don't know. I think they all kind of fit in a puzzle somehow. How
do you know it was time to share this story, though? Because something has to happen.
Actually, Dan, I do have an answer for that. I think 34, 35. I'm joking. I'm kidding.
Well, the reason I'm asking that is just everybody knows what you said, you've been through a lot in your life, and this one you're kind of putting it all out there for people to kind of hear your story firsthand.
Am I? Now I'm scared.
I think it's a good thing.
Oh,
don't worry. Do you have a question, or are you just gonna say shit, Daniel?
Yeah, do you have a question, or are you just gonna instill fear in me and trigger my anxiety while we sit here?
Isn't that what you want, is tell your story?
No, I don't fucking know, dude. I just want to sing and make people happy and say songs, and I don't know.
All right, well, forget I said that.
I don't think about that. If I wanted to share my story, I'd do more of this shit, but I only talk to you two.
All right, well, forget, scrap that.
I'm joking.
No, and I want everybody, and everybody should know that, you know.
Yeah, but it's also like yes, in a way, yes, because it's like I do want some control over what the narrative is, but at the same time, you know very well that I don't like to spend too much time thinking about that because it's scary.
What does 6:30 mean?
6:30 is like 6:30 on the clock. Down. Are you down?
Oh,
Like down.
The position of the clock points down.
Yeah.
I was literally like, does the sun set at 6? Does the sun set at 6:30?
No, both the arms are facing down. I'm really happy this album has thrown you for a loop, Zach, saying your brain is burning over there.
That makes a lot.
I'm so glad. That this profound body of work could really make you short circuit. Like,
dude, it's made me think, and I really truly have spent a lot of time with it, so I am dissecting all of it. You do need somebody to play video games with you at 2 a.m. Do you have that right now?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, congrats. That's a big
Yeah,
deal.
but we're asleep by 11:01 or by like 10:01. We're old. I'm old. I'm an old person.
Back in the day, Ariana would be up at probably like 1 o'clock playing video games. No more?
I can't do it anymore. I'm
Really?
tired. Oh yeah, I'm exhausted. Also, I think the amount that I have worked on this year that was supposed to be my off year is like crazy. I've like never been more nonstop in my entire life, and it's like kooky. I think because like once I made the decision that I wanted to put something out, I was like, okay, now I need to shoot 76 videos, do 76 photo shoots in the middle of a pandemic. I need to get everyone tested 300 times a week. I need to put together these mixes, approve all these masters, and I have notes on everything. I'm not happy with anything. I need to make sure everything is perfect. I need to da-da-da-da. And I think I just kind of like drove myself a little crazy for a while. So I think I was like, by the time we were both home from work and done, I was just kind of like, we both were like, okay, good night. We were both like, okay, we're in bed by 7, watching Netflix until 10 and then sleeping, you know, like old people routine. This is all that happens.
Do you realize that you want to put out an album only after the songs are done, or do you go, I'm going to put out an album and then start creating?
No, I see a list of like things that I know I would want to be on an album. Even if they're unfinished, I know that there are titles like of things that exist in my head. And once I see like 10, I'm like, should I start paying attention to this? Do they go together? Is it cohesive? Does it make sense? And then I'm like, oh wow, we're onto something. And then like, it's just, it happens. You don't realize, you know, like I'll just look at Tommy. We got a little whiteboard in the studio and we write on it and keep lists of like what we really love and make like a little to-do list of what's left to finish on them. But once we're in the double digits, I kind of look at Tommy and I'm like, are we here again? And that's always a very exciting moment. And yeah, that's kind of when you realize
that you have something, but only when it presents itself. Like you don't set out with a goal, you set out to create, and then eventually
yeah.
Skirt is a language unique to you. There's a lot of
I don't think so. I don't think that is true. I would say that that's not true. Skirt.
Dan is laughing at me. Am I not cool enough to know who else uses skirt?
I feel like that's a commonly used thing in rap songs, and it's an ad lib for some rappers as well. You know, they're like skirt. You know.
No.
I think it's around, Zach.
Okay,
I think we don't coin that one as an Ariana Grande phrase at all. I think we back out of there quick.
What do you coin?
I like the nods to the other albums lyrically that are kind of like they're kind of trickled throughout the album. I purposely kind of try to tie in certain phrases that reflect and tie in other records to make sure that there is a through line, and that I did it with Sweetener and Thank You Next as well, just to like kind of like wink at the other songs and continue the story and kind of like show the evolution of how situations have evolved and how certain feelings have evolved and changed. So I did a lot of that this time. There's a lot of them. Some of them are more obvious than others, but yeah, one of my favorite ones is in Safety Net, and there's a real dance more, is it in my head? I like the in my head reference. I like little things like that.
I love it because one day or even today, somebody can sit down and listen to most, if not all, the albums, starting with yours truly, and really be able to see a human being progress and grow and evolve.
Sure. Yes.
It feels like one.
Side to Side was very meaningful.
Bicycle. That you can coin. I don't think anybody else used
that. Dan, I think, is the one where it's the most personal. You know, you asked me before, is Off the Table the most personal record I've ever written? I think it's Side to Side.
I can see that.
It's really tough. They're neck and neck, but also shout out to everyone that still is surprised when I'm sexual. It's so funny and it makes me really happy.
We talk about, well, there's a few here. I really want to talk about Just Like Magic because you bring up manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe in that?
Yeah, I think that's super real. I think that what you put out and what you focus your attention on is what expands, for sure.
Do you think manifestation played any role in your journey now, or to get you?
Yeah, I think for sure. I think that there is a certain way to look at things, and when bad things happen or when things get really tricky, it's hard to still look at them that way, and you still kind of have to try your very best to and learn about restriction and learn about channeling the right mindset and really try. And it's hard and it's like so complicated and hard, but everything you do, I think, kind of contributes to the life that you create yourself.
Oh yeah.
Like every thought that you have. And it's hard because, again, it's like we live in a world where we're taught to hate ourselves constantly. So it's like, it's really hard, but it's like every single thing I think that you think about yourself and others and how you react to things, what you choose to think about, what you spend time talking about. It's like, I think it all plays a part somehow. I don't know. Back to more manifestation, like if we're going really there, because I kind of went off the rails a little bit. But my mom always taught me that if I want something, it can happen. Like it's absolutely possible, and to never act like it's not. And I think in a way that's kind of manifestation. It's like you think about it like it's already there, and it is. But I was taught that since I'm 4 years old. I was 4 years old and they called 411 to ask the lady who worked at the front desk at Universal, probably the theme park, probably not even the studio, if I could audition for all that, And then I was on Nickelodeon. That was like my first,
Yes, it is true.
I do think it's real because I think that's how I'm here at all. I think my mom taught me that. I
totally agree with you.
What's a great thing to tell your 4-year-old? It's like, you can do anything you want,
And by the way, that hit me in my life at the age of 10, and it impacted my path even from that age.
You were the youngest rock star, radio host, entrepreneur how old were we when we started doing this together? You were what, 15?
Yeah, we had
your own radio show on 1 million stations when you were 2 months out of the womb.
A fetus.
Right off the press, couldn't even speak. You're like, I'm Zach saying on the radio.
Say it's, you want to go? I was going to quote from the song, one of my favorite lines. One of my favorite passages from
you go first.
the album. Say it's tricky at the top. Got to keep it slim ego for a thick wallet.
Oh, bad.
Losing friends left and right, but I just send them love and light. It is a realization that you need to be a kind person to achieve something.
100%. The minute you start being a tool, that plug is being pulled.
Mm-hmm. Kindness.
It might take a while, but you're pulling the plug on yourself. The minute you start treating people weird, the I don't know, the runners and the first ADs and the yelling at people, the minute your plug is getting loose and you're, like pulling. Yeah, it's not, you gotta be nice to people. You gotta be grateful. You can't see one achievement as a indication of anything. Like you can't accomplish anything and see that as like, I'm different and I can act different and I don't have to work as hard now. And no. It's a complete opposite.
By the way, like that's a really valuable lesson that you don't actually learn until you're maybe put in the position. like to have a great success, you know? Like you don't.
You know when you have songs and then you can't hear certain words anymore?
Yes.
They're like, I have a problem. And I'm like, I hear the intro start and that I should be in my place ready to go like this. Like I have like trauma for all these songs.
The Dolla collaboration is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, it was the only song on the album that
I was clearing my throat, not saying, yeah, it is. So thank you, I meant. I was clearing my throat, but it sounded like I was like, yes, it is.
How does this collaboration with Dolla actually come to be?
He walked in, but he just walked in and loved what he was hearing. And I was like, well, this is a perfect time and place for us to do something together. And I've always wanted to. I'm a big fan and he's a great guy and I've always wanted to. And so it just happened to work out. I think he just kind of sat down and loved what he was hearing and was like, let's do this together. And I was like, yeah, that's great.
Well, the record is, I mean, the entire album is very much present, but it gives me a timeless feel. Safety Net, it's like feels very old school R&B, but in the best possible ways.
Thank you. That's my wet dream.
Tripping, falling with no safety net, all over the sky. You're questioning if this love is real. At this point in life, do you even know? Like, do you have a test? Do you have a gauge?
How do you know? Well, you don't, but you do. You know, your heart, your gut, your friends and family, you know. I trust the people around me a lot. They've always, in the past, when I've been in something where it's not gone the way everyone has wanted it to go for me, they've always been like, hi. Yeah, you know that. You've been one of the people. So it's like, yeah.
Your gut. You learn to trust your gut over time. Yes?
Oh, or yes, but also like you can't, when you're a person with anxiety and depression, there's this like weird thing. There are times when you can't differentiate between your gut and your trauma and your fear and your anxiety and your PTSD. And you're like, who's lying? Which one? You know?
Yeah.
So it's a tricky thing, trusting people and whatever and blah, blah, blah. But there's a time when you do feel safe and it clicks and you're like, you know, and, you know, trust is a big thing. And I think that song kind of is a very accurate depiction of what that fearful stage of falling in love feels like.